Hi, everybody. I'm a few minutes late. I'm having a day. I, I was going to start with my coffee, and then I dropped my coffee everywhere. So we're going to sit down for a minute and lament the coffee. I'm going to see if a few people pop on here. Hydrate, because it is hot. I think today's going to be in the 90s. Where did my straw go? Oh, that's so sad. That's why glass sometimes. It's okay. I have more of them. I really wanted that. I could make another one though. Oh, I don't see anybody on yet, so we got time. And even if nobody pops on, I'll still go around and do this because it does save to my YouTube. And then if you ever want to refer back to it, I'm always happy to make sure that those are available for people. The last time I did a garden tour, I don't know, it was a while ago. Easily, it had to have been over a month ago, month and a half ago. It was before I went home to New York and everything just exploded. So there's been a lot of change and there's a lot more to see now. And I'm not even sure if I covered everything that I put in the garden the last time. So I'm not sure about questions. I still haven't, because I don't go live enough, I haven't mastered this. So I don't know if the questions will pop up, if I will see them. If not, I will answer them later. I am a one-man show over here, so I don't have somebody moderating for me and all that fun jazz. So, but yeah, we'll give it just another minute. We'll get a little more. In fact, I might even turn the mister on for the girls. I don't know if they like it yet. I'll show you what I got for them. It's been so hot that my girls have been... Oh, that was a piece of glass in my toe. That's not good. The fire pit. Last week, the girls were so hot they had their feathers or their wings up and they were trying to cool down. So I bought a mister yesterday. It's sold for humans, but I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for the girls because my birds are spoiled. My girls are pets. They're not, I don't raise them for meat. I'm actually mostly vegetarian. Sometimes eat a little bit of fish, but most of the time I'm plant-based. So, yeah, I bought them this thing. I can't tell if they like it or not. I think they kind of run away from it, so I don't know. It says it's supposed to make things cooler down to, like, I don't know, another 20 degrees. So at the very least, it's putting a little bit of water in their little dirt bath over here. So that might feel nice and cool for them. Hi, ladies. Let me say hi. Oh, I can turn this around. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah, the girls are good. I put that gal in there because there were some buggies on it. So, you know, it's hot. They're trying to stay cool. They're laying down a lot. I make sure their water stays filled. I may bring them out another water bath and some ice water occasionally. I got to find something to stick in the freezer for them, too. Frozen snacks are always great for them. They seem to be doing okay right now, but yeah, we'll see if this thing does anything. I don't know. I guess I had pictures in my head of them like running through it with joy and, you know, doing a little dance. I guess that was hopeful thinking, huh? So anyway, all right, let's get started. Um, if this is your first time here, my name is Erin. I am the Little Urban Farm Girl. I call my property the Little Urban Farm because I have chickens. I also have a little worm farm, and who knows how I'll expand. I do operate with the idea of creating kind of like a sustainable food forest, just in my backyard. My backyard is not huge. It's bigger than what I had when I started, which was where the original naming for my farm came from. So, you know, here's the gardens and the chickens back there, and then I've got this burn pile and a little area over there. I'm not planting over there just because what I have right now is enough to manage. and somewhere over there is where the septic tank is. So I had to wait till I found that out. And fun fact, I put all of this in before I knew that. So thank God that, that wasn't a problem. Oh my God, it's hot. So anyway, current projects. Let me do that, and then we'll go around. This is something new that I put together. I haven't posted the video yet, so when I do a live, you guys get a little sneak peek of some stuff. This is one of those garden towers, and I had bought it last year or the year before. Never had the time to get it together. Last year was a struggle year for numerous reasons. So this year, I'm trying to tackle all these projects, and this is one of them. I've moved all of my Fairy Morse strawberries in here. Unfortunately, when I went home to New York, the ones that I had in a pot died on me, but some of them are coming back. This one here, if you can see that little guy. So I'm going to keep this watered, and I have plenty of space to grow a few other things, but these things are great, especially if you have some mobility issues being down low. This way you could sit or you could stand and you can plant in it. It is great for things like strawberries and bush beans. You can grow other things in it. That's just what I'm primarily planning to grow in it because I've got all my bigger stuff out there. So yeah, that's something that I'll be updating on periodically. The other thing I have that I have not gotten to yet, because our heat, let me turn this around. Our heat is just being brutal. I actually do have some new raspberry varieties that I was going to plant with you guys, and they dried out on me. And so they were bare root, and I'm not sure. I've got them covered. I keep them watered. This one was a live plant, and you can see it's on the struggle bus. So maybe I'll stick those in the shade. I don't know if that'll help them or not. This gets partially shaded, and I have it here because I have this rain bucket here. And I thought I could also talk about the rain buckets because I never did a video on these. This was one of those days that I was just getting projects done. This is a program that we have locally, and I drove about 30 minutes away. You can look around you, check your local extensions. We have a ecological group that partnered with, it was either Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola, I can't remember, to recycle these bins. And they come with a kit that has the drill bits and these spigots. And the cool thing about this setup is the way this spigot is, you don't have to go inside the drum. So I didn't have to remove anything to make this work. I literally drilled a hole, put this piece in, and then twisted that in, and it's good to go. And then you've got your diverter here. So pretty cool. I got 2 of them because they were only 35 bucks. So yeah, it may not be as nice as some of the ones you see at the store, but I got to tell you, I don't mind at all. It holds a lot. I don't know how big these are exactly, but they hold a lot. And I do have another one. I'll go over here behind the garden. I hid this one. I'm thinking about adding a few more barrels just because we have not had rain in a few weeks. So I depend on my well. And see, I hid it back there because of a tree there. So that stays shaded and it keeps it cool. And then I just put the spigot right here. I removed this one board, and I have a little hose attachment that I put on there so that I can get water. Primarily, I fill buckets and I'll use it to water, say, these sweet potatoes here. But they work really good. I did go out on Facebook Marketplace and I found a rain bucket yesterday for 15 bucks. So if you are looking, go on your Facebook Marketplace, or if you have any local groups, like they have free sale groups. Sometimes there's a buy, sale, trade group. That kind of stuff people get rid of. And sometimes what happens is the one I got, the spigot on the front broke. So I'm going to have to patch that. But whatever, for 15 bucks, I'm fine with it. But yeah, water barrels are great this time of year, especially in the high heat, which we have been getting a lot of. Sorry, my sweet potatoes. I grow my sweet potatoes in containers. These, again, are recycled storage containers. I find them all over the place. In fact, the other day, I went to the recycling center with a friend to see if they had any buckets. And I looked in the dumpster, and lo and behold, there were like 5 or 6 of these in there. Now, I was not going to jump in the dumpster and grab them, but I was like, are you kidding me right now? I drill some holes in the bottom, They work great for mini gardens. You can find these often on the side of the road in people's trash. I know mine break down after a while, so I put them off to the side, fill them with dirt, and I use them. And I've been growing sweet potatoes in them the last couple years. I've had moderate luck. The first year I did the best. I don't know what I did differently the first year that I haven't done these other years, but I don't know. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll have a better year this year. Our heat sometimes, I think sometimes our heat makes a big difference with that. So we'll start here with this bed here. This one is, let's see, I think this one is actually one of the newer beds. And this is the one that I have a sub pod in. Sub pod unfortunately went out of business. You might be able to still get some of their smaller ones on Amazon. But that is a compost system that sits right in your garden. And I've got a few varieties of peppers and tomatoes right now. It looks like a hot mess, probably because it is. These got planted late because I did room and there was something else in here I was pulling out. I think it was kale, and I had peas and all kinds of stuff. I did plant some melons that never came up, so I don't know what happened there. I may have to plant some new seeds. I do have one volunteer melon over here that came through though. And I don't know, it's had yellowing leaves off and on, probably because of the week I was gone. I think it took a beating. And I have an irrigation system set up, but it's not the best. And really, if you're going to have a garden, you got to have eyes on them. They do better when you can see what they're up to. But I did pull a melon off of this. It's a little mini melon. I haven't cut it open yet, so I do that, try to film and get it online. But you can see I've got some flowers here, and I keep trying to put it down in the dirt so that it can root in case the dreaded pickle worms start showing up, because with this heat they might. Hot early. These are two different tomato plants that, believe it or not, I planted them two different ways. And I need to get a stake for this one. Someone in my comments had asked whether it was better to plant your tomatoes deep or plant them on their side. I didn't know the answer to that. I have done it both ways. If I plant in a pot, I plant them deep because you can't really plant on their sides. And when I got asked that question, I thought, all right, let's try it. So you can see they're both relatively, similar in size. So that's, not a big deal. This one here is the one that I planted deep. This one here is the one that I planted on its side. Personally, I think this one looks better. And I've already got one tomato. They are the same variety. Granted, it's really hard to control your conditions in this kind of setup. So, obviously it's not going to be completely controlled. Maybe that one's getting more water, because of this irrigation. I don't know. But even as far as flowers, this one has more flowers, it seems like. It's a little bit bushier, or that one is a little bit taller. So it may not make a big difference, but for shits and giggles, I thought we would try it. So that's why those two are there. That's an experiment. But everything else in here, these here are peppers, and I have them covered for the time being just because, A, it's so hot. This actually gives a little bit of shade, and I have deer and chickens. And so while the plants are small, I put these, I think they're garbage cans from the dollar store. This is one of those amazing dollar store hacks that is so hot here that the temperature on my phone shut it down and it says it's too hot. So I'm now over here with the chickens in the shade. We can lovingly look at the garden from here for a second while my phone cools down. I might be able to make it over here to these gardens in the shade a little bit. So sorry about that. I definitely did not plan that. So this area here, this is where I grow potatoes. There's some volunteer ones, I think, in there. Those are some fingerling potatoes. And then that's some Jerusalem artichokes there. These are a multiplier onion that are having a hell of a time because it's been so hot. I keep getting back here to water, and I need to mulch these. I have not mulched these. That's something I get to do. That's another type of onion, and that one there. If you've never heard of multiplier onions, they're pretty cool. And we're coming up on the time frame where you can buy them. Typically, I think they are sold in August because it's after they've been harvested and dried. But a multiplier onion is a perennial onion. So they'll keep coming back and keep coming back. In fact, these are my walking onions here. If you've never heard of a walking onion, they sprout up and they look like greens. And right now this is kind of like their dormant stage. They look like poo, sorry. But they send up a stalk and you can use them like green onions, and they get these little bulbils on top. They're like little cloves almost. Well, these are seeds, and you can see that one has sprouted already, although it dried out. But they get heavy and then they fall over as they dry out, and they hit the ground and they'll sprout. So you don't even have to harvest them. You could leave them in the ground. They'll die off like this, and then you can see like those are some newer shoots there. Oh wait, no, that's carrot. There's some newer shoots coming out of those. So yeah, a lot of people have heard of Egyptian walking onions, but they maybe haven't heard of some of the other ones. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. And then over here, this was my carrots that popped up and they were going to flower. I haven't had the best luck with carrots. I need to redo the bed. It was low in soil, and so I decided to pull the carrots and not even save the seed. And I put a couple peppers in here instead. I did add a little compost, and you can see whatever this compost is, they're fairly happy because they're very, very green. So they're doing pretty good. I just have to remember to keep watering them. And I'm trying to stay to the edge of my shade here. This garden here was one of the last spring gardens, so my chard is in there. A lot of people don't know this, but chard is fairly heat tolerant. Now I'm getting a little bit of, stuff here and there. But I mean, for the most part, if you like spinach, try growing chard. Spinach is a spring veg, and it really does not like the heat. In fact, it can't even tolerate a little bit of heat before it goes to seed and it bolts. Yeah, see, these are on the struggle bus a little bit right now. I think it's a water issue though. But it works a lot like spinach. In fact, there are a couple types that are called everbearing spinach, I think they call it. And it's a type of, golly, it keeps cutting out. I'm going to go in the shade here. And we've had these high 90-degree days. So things are just on the struggle bus with this kind of heat. We get this heat, but it's kind of like August time frame. So I'm a little shocked that we're getting it to this capacity. This bed here is a little bit of a mess. This is my celery that I let seed over. And last year the swallowtails were all over it, so I was not going to pull it. I wanted the swallowtails to have at it. And I don't know, again, it's not liking this heat, so I don't know if it'll survive. I do have some peppers, tomato, and then there was some kale and stuff that, again, with this heat and the bugs that we've had this year, not doing so great. So these are not the best depictions of my garden. But over here, I'm standing underneath this trellis. These are green beans, which, by the way, Japanese beetles love. So I come out here with a bottle and I collect them and give them to the chickens. It doesn't seem to harm the beans too badly, though, generally. I don't see many, again, because of our heat. That's something that people don't understand, is that as we warm up, your plants, if they are not able to tolerate 90+ degrees, including your tomatoes, after like 90 degrees, 95 degrees, they will stop flowering. They can't pollinate because the pollen gets sticky. And this is why, if you don't believe in global warming, that's fine. Everyone is able to, decide for themselves. But we are getting warmer, and this year all of the zones changed. I went from being in 7B to 8A, and we've had some really, really early temperatures. So it affects our food. And if you're a backyard gardener and you've been doing this for a little while, you may already know that. But yeah, that's why I'm not seeing many beans here. Beans go crazy. They go absolutely crazy. I'm usually pulling them off in handfuls, and I'm not even seeing many of those right now. So across from here, this is a climbing zucchini. And this was a variety that I found. I've only seen it one place. I'm guessing it's got to be a hybrid, but I don't know that for sure. Renee's garden. It's called escalator climbing squash. And I planted a couple of them. And I recently just did a video where this one here, I thought was dying. I went away for a couple weeks to help my parents with some stuff, and it was on the struggle bus. And I thought, oh no, I think I'm losing it. And I buried the stem. I pulled out my BT, and it is slowly putting on leaves and coming back. So it's hanging in there. It really is. I may have to do my garden tour later today when it's cooler, because every time I get near that sun, it shuts my phone right down. I didn't think it was going to do that. So I'm going to try to look through some of these comments here. And forest moss on the surface helps with keeping the plants moist and cool during the heat. I also gather my grass clippings. Grass clippings are free if you have, a backyard. Your neighbors may also have them. Just make sure your neighbors don't spray anything. But I use grass clippings a lot, and they break down kind of like straw or hay wood, and that works really well for a covering. I have that on a lot of my gardens, and I do have straw. Yeah, it's straw. Sorry, one has the seeds in it and one doesn't, and I can never remember which is which. I think hay has the seeds in it, straw doesn't. So I bought straw, and I have a lot of my garden beds covered with that. And you can do wood chips as well. I found that sometimes the wood chips work better for certain plants. Sometimes the grass or the straw works better. It just depends. But I always tend to grab my grass after my lawn person comes and sprinkle it around. I put it on top of my pots. I put it on top of everything. Anytime you can cover the soil is a good thing, and it does. It shades your soil. You want to say hello? This is Brenna. She's our head of security. She's the love mutt. She says, "Oh, you're so salty, Mom. I will lick you." Yeah, I know. She's a good girl. What was I saying? Oh, the grass. So yeah, the grass is actually something that, we can reuse easily. Um, but I will look into the forest moss. I actually have some forest area behind me, and I know there's moss back there. I just don't know this time of year. I don't know if we're wet enough for there to be much moss. So I'm not sure if I'll have access to that. And I'd rather use something that I have. Leaves work great too if you have them. We just are out of that season. I use my leaves in the fall. Usually I'll put that on my garlic and onions. I try to gather extras. I have a garbage can that I'll put them in and mulch them up. I don't think I did that this year though. They also end up in my worm bins, so I go through leaves pretty quickly, and I'm the weirdo that sometimes will grab them from friend lawns if they gather them and put them out. I'm like, ooh, this is free leaves. I can use these. So I am someone who will use whatever I can. I just think that's a better way to do things. We don't need to buy everything, and gardening can be pricey enough. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start a garden to save money. And while that sounds like a great idea in theory, chickens too. Sounds like a great idea in theory. There's a lot of startup costs that people don't consider. And to grow good vegetables, you got to have good soil. If you don't have good soil, then you've got to amend it. And amendments will cost you money. Compost will cost you money. And the first year, if you're adding to that area, you could potentially start the year before adding leaves, adding hay, adding your chicken droppings and things like that. And you could till. I'm not a tiller. Personally, they say that tilling releases carbon, and I don't know enough to speak on that. I know that I'm someone who layers, and I have great luck doing it that way, and I have great soil and a great microbiome, so I don't do any tilling. But if you're just starting out, you may have to. Here in the South, we have that fun red clay that is like impossible to work with, so I build up. I would break my back if I did it. Our clay just in the summer is hard as a rock. You can't get through it. So I just don't even mess with it. Let me see. It's sad how much humans waste. It is. I have a leaf compost and food compost in rotation. Next year I need to dig and plant more. Every year I have to add more and more. In fact, my compost is in the shade, so we can go over there and talk about that. It's over here near the chickens. I purposely put it over here near the chickens so that as my chicken coop gets cleaned out, I can empty into here. And sorry, this is where I stopped to try to cool down earlier. My compost bin, I just have 2 panels right now, and this was a bunch of wood that was left over on my property when I bought the house. Back here is my little wooded area, and I have no idea what it was. I don't know if it was a small shed. I don't know if it was a like a children's playhouse. I have no idea, but there was a bunch of wood that was just sitting here. In fact, oh, here we go. Here's some of the So see, it must have been some sort of a shed or something. So I saved those. I haven't used those yet. They're just sitting in the shade. But the rest of the wood I took, and I have videos of this if you're curious. It wasn't very hard. I didn't really do a ton of measuring or anything like that. I really just sort of winged it. But I used what I had. These were the 4x4s that were here. There were 4 of them, or maybe there was 2 and I cut them. I can't remember. No, I think those were here. I think those were already cut, so I just popped those up. I just used some decking screws and, you know, I created it myself. It's not the prettiest, but you know what? I don't care. So I've got a couple garbage cans. That's usually where I put leaves. I don't think I saved any leaves. I try to put leaves in here so that as I have, yeah, see, it's empty. As I have wet stuff, I'll cover it with the leaves. My food scraps go a lot of times either to the chickens or the worms, but sometimes there are some that end up kind of gross, and so I'll throw them in here instead. I like to cover them up just so the bugs aren't all over them, and you know, if they smell and whatnot, they're not, you know, they're not terrible if you cover them up. So yeah, composting is good. I'm not a fast composter. I haven't managed that process very well yet. My thought was that I would be able to turn these all the time, but y'all, when you're a one-man show and you work full time and you commute and you got chickens and you got gardens and watering and all kinds of stuff, it doesn't work for me at this moment in time. And then I do have my worm castings, my little worm farm. So I pull from them, but a lot of times I do more of a slow process. So this was all of last year's junk mostly that is breaking down. I moved it over. This is all this year's. And so that's what I do. And then I come back to this bed in the spring and dig this out. Anything that's still on top goes in the new area, and I dig out all the good stuff. In fact, this is what's left over of the good stuff that I had before. I used up most of it already. This, I actually put them in these pots because my thought was to dry them out. I had this sitting on top to dry them out. And we got rain, the little bit that we did get. And for some reason, it's not draining out of there now. So, and I have a few volunteer, I don't know, this is either a pumpkin or a squash, and that looks like a tomato, but that's fine. I put some of that in there where the carrots were. So there was a whole nother little bin, and I use it wherever I can. And that's all I have left is there. But it's not enough for me to do my whole gardens. I do get a delivery. I have a friend my friend Charles with CQ Professional Services. He does more of your hardscaping, so he does rocks and gravel and that kind of thing. If you have any need for that kind of stuff, look him up. I do have a link to his business from my webpage. I think it's in my links. There should be a link that's like a /go, and that's where all of my links are, and it should be CQ Performance Services listed, and it'll say my trusted gravel and hardscaping expert or something like that. Awesome guy. In fact, he's one of my team members. I call him one of my team members because he does so much for me because I don't have a truck, and so he helps me out with that kind of stuff, which is nice. But yeah, so the composting is fun, but yeah, it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of time. But I enjoy having it, and I am someone who likes to recycle, reduce, and reuse things. And yeah, I think I talked about the rainbow barrels, right? Yeah, I think I did. I can't remember when I talked about what I didn't with all these interruptions that I've had, and I'm afraid to go in the sun now. Oh yeah, I think your Wi-Fi or cell service is not working well. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know if it's the heat. I'm not exactly sure. When I was standing over there, my poor phone kept cutting out on me and or losing service. So it could just be that spot in the middle where the shade was. So that's why I'm back here near the chickens. And yeah, my live is not going the way I had originally planned. I'm gonna let the phone cool down just a little more here, and then we'll go to the front. And we'll see if we can't do it quickly. And I may just have to schedule another one. My plan was to do one of these like every weekend or every other weekend, but I've been going back and forth. I went home to New York for a couple weeks to help my folks out. And then I had a weekend. I have a women's group that I'm a part of, a women's empowerment group circle that I'm a part of. And we had a gathering in Georgia. So I haven't had enough weekends that I could get out here. So that's why I thought this was really important for me to do today. But I didn't factor in the heat. Ugh, silly ass heat. All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna run. See if we can get through this for those who are still here. Okay, we talked about those two beds. This is arugula here. I need to get a shade cloth. And this here, these are my San Marzano tomatoes. And this, look at this. It is exploding with tomatoes. So I got to pick those today. Those were the beans we were just talking about. I have a couple of new peppers down here. And this was arugula that went to seed and I let it, but it's creating a little bit of shade. So I've left that. Over here, more arugula. My okra is going down the center. They got a little bit of a late start, so I haven't been harvesting those yet. And I've got 2 tomato plants there that are newer, and these are a lemon squash. I've got a bunch of them. This year I tried this out. These are called tomato twists. I bought them for tomatoes, obviously. And they don't work great for tomatoes. As you can see, tomatoes get kind of tall. They just do. So they would flop over and I didn't have the best of luck. But to stake up my squash and grow them vertical, it worked pretty darn good. I'm actually really happy with that. So this is about the size that these squash get to. They're kind of a fun size. I like them. And I have a few I can harvest there, which is great. Here, I'll try to take a little pause in the shade right here. Right here is another couple tomatoes. I typically plant a couple tomatoes in each bed. Here's a green pepper. Something else I do to cover and provide some shade is I plant bush beans everywhere. Of course, this year they're having a heck of a time, and I've lost some here and there. But oh, I gotta pick that guy. He's getting nibbled on. So I plant beans everywhere, and as they grow and fill in, they typically will shade the soil, and it really does help. I'm gonna go back in the shade. So yeah, in some of my gardens, let's see, I think the front garden had some. I need to put down some more. Here, see, here's one there. They're kind of everywhere. I just walk around and put them wherever I can, but I didn't do a very good job when I left of making sure that those were taken care of. So I'll add more. You can never have enough beans. You can grow beans late too. You can keep growing them for quite a while. You can start seeds. Basil. I do a lot of window box herbs. I plant them underneath these trellises because the little bit of shade that I get actually helps them in our heat. I mean, look at these basils. They're so happy under here. I think that over there is a mint. My mints do better in the shade as well. Let's see if we can hop over here. There's not as much shade under this one. These ones need water, but they're not doing too bad. This one, I don't remember what that one was. I don't have many in there. And these here, noodle beans. I do have a few noodle beans coming in. If you've never grown noodle beans, they're kind of fun. They get really long. We'll see. I had a few volunteers over here. Let's see if any. Yeah, see, I don't have any newer ones. Usually I'm picking these. Yeah, it just lost service again. So here's the beans in this garden here. And these here are cucamelons. I did not plant those. That did not work. All right, why don't we do this, y'all? I am so sorry. Because it's so warm, I don't think it's going to work. I'll pay better attention to that for the next one. And maybe if I have time later tonight, if it cools down, I'll do one when it's at least dropped about 6 degrees. Because it doesn't matter where I go or what I do. Oh, wait, we've got some cloud cover. Well, I don't know if I can get through it. So I'll just real quickly give you guys kind of a overview like this. Everyone was hoping we could talk about some of them, but I can't seem to be out here long enough to do that. So squash is doing great. Tomatoes are just coming in. Herbs are doing good. The beans are not producing very much at this point in time just because of the heat, I think. I do have some newer stuff that is growing. So yeah, this is off to a good start, and I've really enjoyed some of the varieties that I'm growing this year. I started talking to you guys about the cucamelons before it cut out. Let's see if I can find you one before it does without bothering this orb weaver spider. Let's see if you can see him right there. He's a little guy. These things have been so much fun. They're called Mexican sour gherkins, and I don't see as many of them now. For a while, there was a ton of small like this, and I finally, excuse me, I finally picked one that got like dark green, and apparently that's when they're ripe. I've been picking them when they're underripe, and I saw a video where someone said the ripe ones get kind of bitter. I thought they were sweet, um, which was, I don't know, maybe my taste buds are weird. But if you pick them when they're like this, they're kind of like a cucumber. I mean, I just eat them as little snacks. They almost have like a little lemon flavor to them. So, they're not as plain as, say, a regular cucumber. Oh, here's one. See, oh, it fell. I had one that was. Where did it go? Oh, see, here's a couple down there. I don't know where the one that was dark green went, but they get a little bit like mushier. I eat them even, but they get almost like a sweetness to them. See them in here? I don't know what the heck to do with them. I snack on them. I use them as a garden snack. There's one. But their skins get dark green when they're super ripe. Can't believe I can't see any. Oh, I don't want to keep you guys on here doing that. So yeah, that's been fun. Also, these squash over here, if this cloud stays put, we might be able to get through this. This is a round squash here, and these in the early summer did have quite a bit of borer damage, and they've been holding up just fine. I just keep taking off some of the leaves. I do grow vertical. I think they work better that way, and the bugs tend to stay out of them a little bit. But, they've been a fun variety to grow. So that, and then those yellow squash, and that might be where we cut out before. The yellow squash have been kind of fun to grow too. This is a lemon squash. I think they came from M.I. Gardner. I also, for anyone interested, I am starting to build out my website. It's slow going with everything I have going on, but I do have an area where I'm going at some point. I want doing some blogging, and I haven't set that up yet. The garden. And I've listed every variety, at least that I'm aware of, that I know I have, for seeds, for plants, whether I got them on eBay, whether I got them on Etsy. So you guys can feel free to go check that out if you want. I just like to have people have access to stuff, especially things like the perennial onions. That's not something you could just find anywhere. Some of them you can. Like I know Baker's Creek has a variety. I think M.I. Gardner has a variety. Sometimes they get it. Just depends, but I've made sure that there's links for all of that stuff for everybody. In fact, the ones that I am an affiliate with, I don't even think I grabbed affiliate links. I just linked them to the product because I don't care that much about I shouldn't say that. I care about the affiliate stuff, but it's not why I'm doing this. But the little bit that it does give me does help with things for the garden and the chickens. But yeah, so anytime, if anybody wants, reach out. Again, apologies for all the interruptions. I'll see if I can do this later when it's a little bit cooler, and maybe it'll be a little smoother going. I didn't expect it to be this choppy, but hey, lesson learned, right? No more 1 o'clock garden tours, because that just doesn't work. So anyway, if you don't follow me on YouTube or the socials, give me a like and a follow. Share with your friends. I love doing this. I love helping people, and just send me a message if you get stuck with something, and I'll do my best to try to figure it out. It's not always easy when you're not there in person, but I can always give you at least some suggestions to start with, to say, hey, try this, hey, try that. But anyway, keep going. We're only halfway through the summer, so I will see you on the other side. Let's grow together.